Okay, welcome. The presentation I've been asked to give today is on the installation of built-in air scrubbers, both Polar and Porkus. Content of this presentation is the instruction on the installation of Polo and Porkus built-in air scrubbers produced for Big Dutchman. Some content, we will go through the considerations you need to make before starting, some requirements, the table build, the pipework build, and a little bit on the skids themselves. First then, this is kind of what the finished product looks like. The picture on the left is a skid with 3 extension skids, and the picture on the right is the scrubber area itself without the hanging wall fitted. Some considerations. Dimensions. Are the air scrubber rooms the right size? Is the hanging wall the right height? Is the roof high enough? Are the holes for the drop catches in the roof the correct size and shape? Is the technical room big enough? Are utilities available where required? Is there an access door to above the package, above the filter package? And can holes be made from the tech room into the air scrubber? Process pit. Pits and underpasses are all made to the correct size. The technical room must be 300 millimeters higher than the lowest point of the air scrubber floor. Say that again because it's very important and it has been missed on some projects. The technical room must be 300 millimeters higher than the lowest point of the air scrubber floor. It must be built to hold water both in the pit and in the buffer area under the table. And the floor should be coated with a water and acid coating. Utilities. You'll need power in, you may require an electrician. You'll have water in and out, you'll need a plumber. You'll have the pipework up to the sprinklers, they also require a plumber. And you'll have the table build, which will require more than 1 labourer. It's easiest to build the tables between 4 people, but it can be built between 2 experienced people. Some tools that will be required. You'll need spanners, sockets, and impact drivers. You'll need a step drill to at least 17 millimeters, and the screwdrivers and hand tools as a regular building team would have. You'll need a grinder for both cutting and sanding. Ladders for access to higher areas. Levels. It's good to have a laser level. This is easier for leveling the table in 1 hit. You'll also need PVC pipe glue, a cleaner for it, and some rags to do all the PVC pipework. Moving on to the build. The first part of the build will be the table. This is what the drawing for the table and a section of the table look like. The tables are built in squares and then connected together to make 1 big table. We start off with a corner section. Slot the inner profile into the outer profile with the teeth pointing upwards. Retain this with 4 M8 bolts, but at the beginning we only tighten them finger tight. We leave them a little bit loose until we have the whole table level. At the beginning, everything only finger tight. The legs, we lubricate the M16 thread and screw the foot halfway into the leg. It's important to lubricate the threads so the table height can be easily adjusted. Use copper grease, lithium grease, or even silicone grease. Don't tighten the lock nut yet. You need this all the way down so that it still has adjustment available when we're leveling the table. The leg, slide the leg into the corner profile at the small end. Use a bolt through the holes to set the rough height. You can see these are staggered all the way up. And you use one M8 by 75 millimeter to set the leg height. Again, only finger tight. For building the frame, we have lower cross members, as you can see in the diagram there. These will slot into the corner piece and lay across two corner pieces, being secured with 4 M8 by 25 millimeter bolts. And then the upper cross members, 3 of those, again secured with the corners with M8 by 25, and then downward through the top cross members into the bottom, we have M8 coach bolts. We call them a locking mushroom head bolt that avoids damage to any packaging placed on top of the table. And then we end up with our nice square table. Connecting the tables together with a couple of sections, again, only finger tight. We can then move on to leveling the table. To level the table, twist the legs to get the correct height as you line this up with the laser. You twist the leg to get the correct height and then lock off the nut at the foot, tightening the lock nut on the thread against the leg. Earthing. The table must be earthed as per the plan provided. It's available in the dealer package. The earthing plan will show 1 earth point per section, and as I said, this is available in the dealer package. We earth the table with 3mm stainless steel cable, which is also provided. Make a loop with the stainless steel cable and remove 1 bolt from the table. Reinstall this through the loop with a washer to retain the cable end. Thread the cable through the table and back to an earth junction box in a dry part of the air scrubber. Connect the earth junction box back to the earth terminal bus in the bottom of the control panel. Are there any questions so far on the table build, the bolts used in their places, the legs, corners, crossbars, earthing?
Yeah, I have one question. All the material is stainless steel, is that correct?
Yes,
Or
everything
PVC?
is stainless steel, yes.
Ah, okay.
All of the metal we provide is all stainless steel. Due to the corrosive environment that it's in, it's not possible to use galvanized, it just doesn't last. And of course, given the zinc content of water, it's resistant to corrosion as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, moving on. Packaging. We load the plastic packaging in with the flat hard side down on the first layer, and then up on any layers beyond that. This is common when we have more layers. Usually with the equipment that we send to Germany, there's only 1 or 2 layers. Stack it all in, but it's best to build the very last table. So build the whole table except for the last one, level it up, and then build the last table after you've loaded in all the packaging. Logistically, this makes it much easier than trying to load it all through the roof or through an access hatch in the end of the wall. The package can be walked on, but please take care to avoid sharp edges, heavy tools, or harsh twisting steps. Ensure an access door is built into the end so that before you finish building the table, and laying out the rest of the packaging, you still have an exit. Packaging needs to be laid in alternate manners. The packaging is designed in such a way that it will be laid opposite, turned 180 degrees. This means it must be stacked left to right to left, both on top of each other and side by side. Moving on to the PVC pipework. A drawing is provided in the manual, but please use a level for all mounts. Degrease before gluing. Remember to glue both sides of any joints. Pay attention to the direction of flow, which is stated on all components. As per the standard drawing, install the PVC pipework, paying attention to the heights that the pipework will be installed at. A little bit of what the finished product should look like. We also provide the stands for the pipework to stand at the correct height, and the standard drawing that is provided in the feeler package showing the dimensions where things should be assembled to. The sprinkler lines for our air scrubbers are built out of pre-cut lengths of pipe supplied with a T-section fitting that allows a sprinkler to be attached. The first sprinkler must be installed at the right distance from the end wall. Some cutting may be required. Ensure all sprinklers are at the same side of the pipe, and this pipe is correctly placed as to position the sprinkler the correct distance from the front and rear walls. There are taps at both ends. The tap before the sprinkler line can be shut off to divert flow to the wash hose when opened. The tap at the end of the sprinkler line is for flushing. These two taps can be slightly loosened, allowing the sprinkler line to be turned in its mountings. With the sprinklers pointed up, both taps can be opened, allowing the line to be flushed. This is most beneficial when new, as the production process will leave plastic contaminants in the system that could block the sprinklers. Pre-sprinkling. Polo air scrubbers will have pre-sprinkling for dust suppression. There is a corner piece on the manifold that diverts flow down to the pre-sprinkling. These sprinklers are set at a lower pressure of 0.4 bar. There is a gauge provided on the pre-sprinklers to allow you to set this. The first tap will be for setting the pressure. Once the pressure is set, remove the handle and keep it in a safe place. The second tap will then be for turning on and off the pre-sprinklers. The pre-sprinkling is hung on the edge of the table from stainless steel clips and hung in plastic pipe clips as shown here. A wash hose is fitted to the other end of the manifold. Before air differential pressure gets too high, the package must be rinsed to clear all blockages. It is about high flow and low pressure. Don't use a pressure washer on the packaging because it will cause damage. I advise wearing a full rain suit, that you open the tap for the hose before closing the sprinkler lines. This will prevent the system from shutting down. Use the hose to rinse the package in a methodical sweeping motion. It should take about 45 seconds per square meter. As you can see, the air hose is fitted in the back of the air scrubber there. In the same method, when we finish cleaning, we can leave the hose laying in the air scrubber, and we can open the sprinklers and then close the wash hose. Are there any questions on any of that?
Yeah, I have a question. The packages that you deliver, is it always the same dimension, or is it individual dimensioning of the package?
Packages will be slightly different depending on if it is a chemical or a biological air scrubber. I believe the standard packages that we are going to will be 600 or 900 millimeters thick, but the standard package is 2.4 meters long with 600 wide and 600 high. And then if you have biological, there'll be another package which is 2.4 meters by 600 by 300 millimeters.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. And move on now to placing the skid. We place the skids with the suction pipe end over the pit nearest to the air scrubber. You can see in this diagram, at the top is the air scrubber room. It flows back under the wall to where the skids are placed, pointing towards the air scrubber. Connect the water pickup from the filter housing down into the process water pit. Connect the pump output to the air scrubber room. This will have to go through the wall, so you have to avoid any structural beams and make sure the wall is sealed off again afterwards. For our global controller, we have a bank of, this is for air scrubbers that are deployed to that are deployed outside of English-speaking countries, outside of Germany, the Netherlands, and Belgium. We deploy the global controller, and this is the water level is controlled by 5 float switches. From the bottom up, we have from top to bottom, we have the maximum float. This is lift to open. When tripped, it closes the water supply valve. The next one down is the waste float. This is lift to close. When triggered, it triggers a waste cycle and will drain some of the water. The next one is the startup float. This must be lifted and closed before the pumps can start. The next one down is the water level. So as and when this is open and closed, it will open and close the water supply valve. And the next one down is the minimum float. This is in lift to close. When this falls open, the pumps cannot run. On the European system, it's deployed certainly in Germany and in the Netherlands, we have a radar sensor. We install and connect the radar level sensor behind the pickup pipe and in behind the filter there. We screw a pin into the sensor, and then this sensor is built into the housing. The housing drops into the skid and attaches to the water filling set from the water in. It is worth noting, during a filling cycle, the incoming water is sprayed at the underside of the radar sensor. This keeps it clean and free of contamination, helps it keep working correctly. Due to this, during a filling cycle, the computer ignores the water level. It will not show a change in the water level until the end of the filling cycle. Also on the European system, we use 2 float switches. These are installed to hang into the process pit. The minimum float must hang 5 centimeters above the end of the pickup pipe, and this falls down to open. When the minimum float is opened, it will trigger the alarm dry run. When this is triggered, the pumps are shut down. The maximum water level flow, when this is lifted to open, it opens and it triggers the emergency supply valve to close. The alarm button on the front of the control panel will be lit up, and when the water level is reduced, this alarm will need to be physically reset by pushing the button on the front of the control cupboard. Connecting the main power supply into the global controller cupboard, we have a direct connection onto the isolation switch and a small earth bus connection. And on the European controller, we have the connection into connection strip X1. This is in the bottom right of the control panel, and also an earth onto the main earth bus in the bottom center of the panel. The sensing differential pressure. Terminal boxes are placed before the package in the pressure chamber and a second in the technical room. These are connected with a 10mm hose back to the control panel. When installing the hose into the connection box, loop the hose 180 degrees, cut it off at a 45-degree angle. This will prevent dust and moisture ingress. And the hose is connected to the bottom of the control panel. The wastewater connection. Connect a 32mm wastewater connection. This will be after the waste valve there. If the wastewater has to travel more than 10 meters, it'll need to be increased to a diameter of 63 or 75mm. Maximum height that our systems can exhaust waste to is up to 8 meters. Connect to the main water supply. Connect a 32mm main water supply of at least 32 litres per minute at 2 bar. We have 2 systems for data logging from our European system. The global system will log on only the PLC, which is internet connected, but it is an SD card based Wago logger. This comes in a separate box mostly, which is hung on the wall next to the control panel. And with the European controller, from standard with a Moxa modem, which is directly connected to the internet and logs directly into the cloud. It also provides a two-way interface that we can log into the controller, and from a distance we can see the live values and also adjust settings. An alarm light is supplied. The alarm light will be supplied with 12 meters of pipe and cable ready to be mounted. The alarm lights can be connected to the control panel and mounted anywhere the client would like, inside or out.